Well, hey there. I'm Jay. Welcome to my booth. So, in voiceover, one could say that your voice, our voice, is the only thing that we have as voiceover artists to tell our stories, practice our craft, to paint on whatever canvas we choose to paint upon, whether that be commercial, audiobooks, video games, whatever it is. And to a large extent, I think that that is true. Your voice is the main delivery mechanism. The words that you say, the tone of voice you use, the pitch of your voice, the texture of your voice, whether you're crafting something, a character, or if you're just saying words, it all is the main way in which you're telling someone something and delivering information to your listener. However, there are two things that I think are really, really valuable and important to remind ourselves of as voiceover artists that are easy to take for granted. Your breath and the silence in between the words that you're saying are really, really powerful tools in your toolkit. And I wouldn't be so quick to write them off as, however you would write them off. And the reason why I think that's a really beautiful thing to remember is, firstly, the humanity behind breath and silence. Because as you and I talk in the real world, I take a breath to gather my own thoughts. And in that breath, you get to experience a breath of your own and process how you feel about whatever I'm saying. And that could be anything. If I'm giving you really dense information, say in a lecture at a university or something like that, or if we're sitting on a couch and I'm telling you about a tough time that I'm going through, say a family member of mine passed away, and I tell you, yeah, last night I got a phone call, and I found out in those pauses, they're loaded and they're rich and they're deep and they let you in on my emotional and human experience of that moment. And it's really, really powerful, particularly in certain genres of work in voiceover. And by the same token, silence can be a great way to load something, to let someone sit with a bit of information or a moment for longer than you need. And I love that in the real world and human to human interactions, that you get to sort of live with that every day in voiceover. So that's the human side of things. And then there's also the technical side of things, which sort of goes hand in hand, but is a little bit different. If I'm saying something and I don't give the listener a moment to sit with whatever I've said, and I just plow through it, I think this is particularly true for long form narration and like information dense projects. But if I drop a bunch of statistics on you and I don't give you time to sort of digest the statistics, then it becomes a wash, overwhelming, and the listener tunes out. So 5.6% of GDP was vested into technological processes. Now, I give you a second to understand. You may not know what it means. I hardly ever know what it means when I read things like that. But it gives you a moment to go, okay, 5.6% of GDP was divested into, that was all nonsense, but you get my point. And by the same token, as I said with an emotional moment, if I give you really heavy information, someone just died. I need to give the listener a moment to sit with that information and understand it. Or maybe I don't need to, but it's something to consider. If I plow through it, that's a choice. If I sit with it for a moment, the listener gets a chance to understand someone has just passed away, or this act of whatever has taken place, this something or other. So it makes it real. It allows the listener to come with you, and it allows the information to be digested more completely in terms of using the breath. And then just if you listen to AI voices, this is one of the reasons why I believe that as long as everything maintains a level of humanity, that voiceover will be something that sticks around and won't be just completely taken over by AI. AI voices don't breathe. If you listen to Siri, if you listen to the TikTok people, they all just spit information like machine guns with no consideration as to what they're saying, the emotional content. So it's a great delivery mechanism for rapid fire, here are words, but then the onus is left on the listener. It's my job now to figure out how I feel about what this is saying, and I don't get to know how the storyteller feels about whatever they're telling me, which, to each their own. Now, a quick caveat about each of these things, because I do think they're beautiful and I'm just touching on it here. But a quick caveat, I do think that it is different per genre that voiceover exists in. So, for example, commercial versus audiobook versus nonfiction article narration versus video games, animation. Each of those has sort of a different palette, a different consideration, especially considering breath and silence, just because of the form factor that you're working in. And the way that I like to think about it is if you transition everything into a visual art medium, a drawing, painting, etc., commercials, they have very little negative space. They are going to be loud, they are going to be colorful, they are going to tell you exactly what it is right away and grab your attention so that there's no question that this is the thing, this is why you should feel this way about it, and Godspeed, buy it or not, but here we are. Whereas something like audiobooks, that's more of a long-term journey where you have to sit with something for a very long period of time. So my dear friend, she drew this for me a long time ago. This has a lot of negative space, a lot of beautiful negative space on there. So this is not a commercial. It would probably be a commercial that I would enjoy more than most commercials because there's space for it. But it gives you get to fill this in. The listener, commercials don't give you much space more often than not to fill things in. They're going to tell you what you should be thinking about the thing. Same thing with promos, the movie trailer voice. They have 5 seconds to tell you the number one movie of the summer is, and you're just like, okay, number one movie. So that's my main caveat about the thing. So I hope that this little divergent rant really was interesting, if nothing else. And if you have any questions about this or anything else voiceover related, please feel free to drop me a line below or reach out on my website. If you're interested in coaching, I also have that available on my website. And until the next one of these, I will see you there, and be well. Toodles.